Sebastian Rogers would have been 17 years old today. And I said would have been because we don't know where he is and we don't know whether he's dead or alive. Sebastian Rogers was only 15 years old when he disappeared from his locked home where only his mother and him were residing for the evening. Now, his mother's history is littered with a lot of past problems, including being essayed by her own mother at the age of 5. She was a messed up mom. Cathy Proudfoot and Chris Proudfoot have a lot of explaining to do when it comes to Sebastian Rogers. They've been trying to remove him from their home since 2022. And then Chris leaves after giving Cathy an ultimatum. It's either Sebastian or him. And he never returned home again until after Sebastian Rogers was gone. These are the details that sound horrific when we're dealing with Chris and Cathy Proudfoot and why many of us believe they have a lot of explaining to do. And as unfortunate as it is, we are not celebrating Sebastian's birthday. We are not happy because Sebastian is not home. If you have any information related to the whereabouts of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, please don't forget to reach out to 1-800-TVI-FIND. Thank you. Hey guys, it's nice to see you. Happy Sunday, Bullhorn Betty. I cover true crime, and we have been covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. He was 15 years old when he disappeared from inside his locked home with only his mother. Law enforcement let us know there is no evidence of him ever leaving that home. And of course, it is well known that there was a lights video of lights traveling to a parked car in an unusual location of the road in the crossroad of Stafford Court and Kellen Lane in Hendersonville, Tennessee. He has never been seen or heard from since. There is a lot of speculation and, of course, statistics and Occam's razor that leads us to believe that the mom and the stepdad have more to do in this case than not. However, we are not celebrating Sebastian's birthday, but there is an event kind of going on. So if you're in the Clarksville area of Tennessee, if you haven't gone to Culver's yet, go over to Culver's, have your dinner with your family, and enjoy a free malt. And I'm pretty sure that was the work of Seth Rogers as well as his team getting that kicked off there in Clarksville, Tennessee. But in Clarksville, Tennessee, there is some type of event going on for Sebastian Rogers all day at the Culver's there. And again, you and your family can enjoy a free malt. And there's no purchase necessary from everything that I can see. However, if you would like to go there, order something, right? Sebastian has been gone. He hasn't been seen. This is his second year birthday without being home. We do not know at this moment if he is dead or if he is alive. But Sebastian Rogers needs to be on our hearts and minds all day today. If you are in the Tennessee area and you know anything about this case, Sebastian Rogers, let me pull up a little bit of a better photo of him so we can take a look at him. There he is, right there. He's been missing since February 26, 2024. He has not been seen or heard from. I can't even remember. I remember his height being, I think, 5'9" and 120 pounds. Sorry about that. 120 pounds. But I really believe he was more on the line of like 115 pounds. I don't think he was quite that heavy. But today he's been gone 19, almost 20 months. Actually, 22 months. We're coming up at the end of this month. It's around Christmas, like the 26th, the day after Christmas. It'll be 22 months since he's disappeared. And they can't say that he just wandered off because where is he? Just like Lily and Jack Sullivan. You know what I'm saying? Like they have not been found. If they just wandered off, the dogs would have found them. The searchers would have found them. Something would have found them by now. But for them to disappear without any of their items, the boots, the backpack, the soiled diaper, nothing, They found nothing out there, no boots, no nothing. And it's like, with Sebastian, and they want us, the mom and stepdad want us to believe so badly that this child just wandered out the front door. The problem is the front door had a camera on it across the street and it never opened. So the only lights, the only movement on the outside of the house was on the side of the house going to a car. And we've had people blow up the light. And it's a blob carrying a blob. You can't make out what the blob is, but you can definitely see a blob moving, carrying something in its hands. And I'm sorry. I'm not willing to believe that, the law enforcement wants us to think that the minute and 30 seconds of watching these lights go across this yard over to a car, law enforcement is wanting us to believe that it's some type of reflection on a road unconnected with this community and was moving on top of a hill. And I'm thinking, there's no hill that high over there on that next road. And no matter what, you'd have an opportunity to drive back and forth up and down that road at least 3 or 4 times in a minute and 30 seconds. So what they're trying to get us to believe in reality is just there were lights out there and there were moving lights out there. And I'm sorry, I disagree. I don't believe they were reflections. We don't know where Sebastian is, okay? And I'm sure that every single day has got to be harder and harder for his father, which is just broken, okay? I'm sure at the beginning of this, he was hopeful that, his ex-wife just sent him off to a school or off to a program or something like that. But, at almost 2 years, we've had teams literally calling autistic centers around the country. We've had them call churches and other live-in type of facilities, any type of boys ranch, any type of ranch or residential, like a religious residential facility. Like we've called hundreds, if not thousands I'm sure it's a strong 100. I'm thinking if I'm not mistaken, with all the teams we've had, at least 1,200 or more calls were made to facilities around this country alone. And I'm just, at this point, we keep hearing how, I'm going back to the beginning of this case and we're hearing how, there was a point when Chris was just very, very confident. His stepfather was just very, very confident that we're never going to see him again. And I remember that. And that still gives me chills up my spine because, that's usually a telltale sign for me that, he's confident that he's not going to be found. Why? Probably because there's nothing left to find. That's where my brain goes when I hear crap like that. And it's a horrible place for your brain to go, but we've done this enough times. I mean, look at Stacy Wandra. You go back to their stuff. They were rambling all this religious stuff on their profiles. And if you don't know who Stacy Wandra is, well, we covered a case by the name of Michael Monkey Vaughn from Fruitland, Idaho. And he was a little 5-year-old boy that disappeared. It was about 45 days after Summer Wells. I think he was 5. Maybe he was 7. I can't remember how old he was. I think he was 5 years old. I think he was just a little boy. And it was some neighbors down the road driving by saw him. It was just a opportunity that he just happened to be out when they were driving by. And according to the records that they have Stacy on, they haven't charged his wife or the other 2 people they were with. But according to that statement, it was Adrian Lucen that said that they could net profit from this person, that Michael Monkey Vaughn, right? And that was about $10,000. So, everybody has looked at that aspect as well as it's possibly being an HT type of scenario. And it just doesn't appear that this meets those criteria. And this doesn't meet the criteria of a runaway. He was a high-functioning autistic boy. High-functioning autistic boys He wasn't an eloper. One thing we've learned throughout the process with this case is that elopement, when a child starts running away, which is very common in an autistic child to wander off, but not every one of them does that. And the ones that do elope, that's running off or has a tendency of running off, they start that very young in their upbringing. It's well known from a young age on up that they wander off. Sebastian was never a wanderer. He was never an eloper. And if you know anything about autism, the one thing it's not is spontaneous. So you're not going to have him spontaneously say, oh, let's do something different than I've ever done before, right? I.e., he's not going to wake up in the middle of the night and decide to walk out of his house without a coat, without shoes, in a freaking cold night, on a cold February night. That's cold. It was cold out, folks. It was cold. And yeah, normally if you had to go run something out to the garbage can, yeah, maybe you wouldn't put a jacket on. Maybe you wouldn't put your shoes on. But you would run out there and quickly run back in. I guarantee that. You're definitely not going to run out and say, it feels really cold out here, but let me keep going. Okay? Especially being autistic that has sensory issues and other issues. His mother and stepfather did it. She hasn't shared. She hasn't done nothing. They've done nothing. You know what they've done? They've acted like bozos online. They've acted like cocky, disgusting bozos online. Their behavior online has been depraved, disgusting, cold-hearted, callous. Definitely not what you would expect from grieving family members that are just trying to find their child. You see Seth whenever he's on, he can't even go through one live without breaking down in tears. And you've got Chris out there having fun, mocking Seth for being so upset that his son's missing, And then Seth, you got to understand Seth's part. Seth didn't even know there was abuse going on in the home because the CPS department never called them, never notified them that there was even a potential of the abuse going on in the home, though they had visited that home several times. So there's definitely a lot here. And with Chris coming home, that's really a telltale sign. Because when Chris left that house, he gave Katie an ultimatum. It's her son or it's him. And he never came back until this child was missing. So, there is that. And we got to quit looking past that. That, to me, is almost like a nail in the coffin as far as guilt. Katie's life was falling apart. She was getting a divorce from Chris. Everything that she knew and loved, including her house, her big, beautiful house, was about to go bye-bye, right? And she had a choice if she was going to have everything that she loves, which she's a materialistic woman. So it was either materials or her son. And then all of a sudden, in less than a month, her son is gone and gone forever. Never seen from again. And then guess what? Chris Proudfoot, what does he do? He comes right on back home, doesn't he? That to me is problematic in this whole story. So anyways, I just dropped a video about Sebastian's birthday. Unfortunately, it's not happy, right? We're not having a happy birthday, and he's not here to celebrate it. And I believe that his mom and his stepfather know why he's not here to celebrate it. And I think we need to look at that. All right, guys, God bless. Thank you so much. Have a happy Sunday. We'll see you soon, okay?